Hello, my friends. My name is Charles Peterson, and I'm here to help you set up your Bally Alpha's progressive system. Let's get started, shall we? RAM clear your machine, of course, to install the game. Wait for the game to load. You need to know the game's pay table configuration when it comes to progressives. And in order to do that, you have to look at a PDF file that shows you every game that Bally has made that has a progressive. So this is Hotshot 15 Reel. Let's look it up in the PDF. This is a Hotshot 15 Reels. We need to look at the PDF and look for Hotshot 15 Reels, which is right here. So it's jackpot category C. Then we'll scroll all the way down to the PDF and look at pay table C. So it's right here. This is just for Hotshot 15 Reel. So it's 10,000 times max bet times denomination. So it's very important before you set up the progressive that you set your max bet and your denomination. Let's do that right now. Okay, so the game finally loaded up. As you can tell, we have no progressive information yet. So we're going to hit the button and we're going to set up the game. It tells you what needs to be set up right over here. I always start with setting the clock. Clock setup, set. Make sure it's at the correct date and time. Exit. That's cleared off the list now. Let's set up the machine devices. I'm using a Tito and a 14-deck button panel. Hit save. You should hear the bill validator. Now we will exit. Now we're going to set up the credits. I'll set this one up at a penny denomination. For progressives, multi-denom must be disabled. Hit set. Now let's go to advanced game configuration. Create new game. Hotshot Blazing 7's 15 Reel. Select your payback percentages. I will talk about multiple progressive options for other games in a part 2 of this tutorial. I'm going to set it at 96%. It doesn't matter which ones you select here to set up your progressive. Go to next. This is a very important step. I'm going to select a penny. If you select any other denomination, you will have to multiply that with the PDF chart. Click Done. Save all. And now we set up the game. We can exit out to the main screen. Here's what's left on our pending status. Let's set up max bet. Again, another very important step for setting up the progressive. So let's go to game setup. And every game on this screen could be different. This one is definitely different than the original Hotshot. So we're going to select the lines. And I put it on max lines, which is 40. And then the button layout to the max of 5. So that's a 200 credit max bet. If it's a penny, it's $2 max bet. Save and exit. Now the last couple of things on our pending status is invalid progressives and validation not set. Validation not set on my machine is because of the Tito. So let's set that up real quick. You can skip this part if you do not have a Tito. Now let's set up the progressive. So in setup, com setup, progressive setup. This is the first screen you see. We want to add a new progressive. We're going to select our game, Hotshot 15 Reel, the game pay table, and the denomination. Then we're going to hit done. Now we're going to set up the controller right here, controller setup. click Add. Then under Controller, we're going to do Internal. All these other options are for external controllers, and I have no idea how to set those up. Hit Set for internal, hit Save, and now the config is open. This is where people get locked up all the time. Before you enter and save any value on the screen, refer to the PDF of your game. Remember, we're working in the Jackpot C category, which has a total of 5 progressives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on our game screen, we're going to activate levels 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's figure out what we put in the current win. Current is actually the reset value, which should match the table here. So 10,000 times a max bet, which is 200 credits, times the denomination. So since I have a penny machine at a $2 max bet, the top prize is going to be 20,000. So you type in 20,000 and hit enter. Level 2, which actually on the PDF says Jackpot 1, is 1,000 times max bet times denomination. In my case, that's 2,000. Now I know these by memory, so I'm just going to enter in it. Jackpot 3 will be 200, Jackpot 4 is 100, and Jackpot 5 is $20. Now enter in your percentages. Usually I go with the bottom one at 1.5 and 1.25. You know, this is all discretion. Don't go above that. We'll talk about an easier way of setting up the progressives too. So that looks about right for this particular game, Hot Shot. Now remember, if you mess up on any of these values, you'll have to RAM clear your machine. I'm going to hit Save. Now they're locked in. Let's go to Previous. I always like to click the Save button on this screen, hit Previous or Exit now, and now we're back to this screen. After we set up our progressives, now we click on Config. And then you're going to go down to Select Controller, and we're going to select the internal controller that we set up, and hit Set. Now you will see that Jackpot levels 1 through 5 have automatically been populated. Hit Save All, Save Complete, hit Exit, we're back to this screen, and hit Save All, and hit Exit. Now our pending status is cleared. Setup menu entered. Now we're going to close the cabinet. Oops, we're going to return the game, close the cabinet. And this version of Hot Shots takes a while to load the progressives. And there they are. You have now successfully configured your slot machine to run progressives. If your game only had one progressive, just one would show up. Now let's take a look at a more advanced alpha game on how to set up the progressives. Next game we're going to take a look at is called Instant Riches. And I'm going to show you how much easier it is to set up the progressives on this one. It's a little bit of a newer Bally title, and they have default configurations for you to do. It's a little bit different, but kind of the same. So let me take you through that. So while your game is loading, this is the best time to look at the Bally Alpha Game Platform Progressive Jackpot configuration data. Since this game is Instant Riches Buried Treasures, I'm going to look for it in this list. Buried treasures right here. It's in progressive category 4Q. Let's look for that. Here is 4Q. That's our formula for configuring the progressive. But like I said, this one's a little bit easier to set up. Let's see how much easier it is. Okay, I already set up the basic settings for the machine, the devices and the credit setup and the clock setting. So now this is Instant Riches, and we're going to go under Game Setup. We're going to click on Buried Treasures, and it doesn't really have that many options to change your max bet. It's always 150 credits max bet. So we're going to click Save. Now we're going to exit and go into COM Setup, Progressive Setup, and you see that there's already something in the menu. So this one kind of auto configures and helps you out a lot more than the older titles. So since that's already set, now we're going to go into Controller Setup. Once again, it's auto-populated the internal setting. It's a suggested controller. You can change it or save it. We're going to save it. And now we're going to go into Configure like before. But the cool thing about this title is that it has a default config. So we're going to select that. And you see that Buried Treasures 96.1 is already created for you. Hit Set, and you can see that it auto-populated the amounts based on your denomination. You can change these percentages if you want, or you can just hit Save. Go to Previous. Once you saved it, save, exit, go to Configure, select Controller, and select Internal 1. Set. And you see that it's auto-populated. Hit Save All, hit Exit, Save All again, exit, and you're ready to go. Return to game, close your door, and you will see that the progressives will automatically populate. That's how easy it is on a newer alpha title. Now let's take a look at something more complicated, like Power Strike. If you check out the Bally PDF for progressive jackpot configuration data, you will notice that there are about 2 pages worth of Power Strike configurations. Why is that? Because casinos can set their max prizes at whatever they want, technically. So the PDF starts at LL and goes all the way down to QQ. So let's find LL. We scroll all the way down to LL. Which is right here. And you will notice that the first one says 50,000 max bet. MM is 40,000, NN is 30,000, and so on. That's going to, up until QQ, which is a lower 15,000 times max bet times denomination. So, let's take a look at the game config screen. So I already set up a penny denomination in the base denom. I disabled multi-denom. Remember, progressives cannot be enabled. And I hit Set. Now I'm going into the game config, add new game, or create new game, select Power Strike, and you will notice on the right side game pay tables, there's a lot more options. You have 15K, 20K, 25, 30, 40, and 50. That is not the top prize or the first jackpot. We still have to do some math to figure out what the top prize is. So let's go down and pick 50K, and we're going to hit next, and we're going to set it up as a penny denom, and we're going to hit done, and we're going to save all, exit, exit, do a game setup. Oh, we have to configure the button deck first. Sorry, forgot to do that. Now we can go back into game setup. And now we have options to set max bet. We're going to do the standard 30 lines and max bet 5, so it's 150 credits. The prizes, that's a different topic, but I just keep it on currency. Hit save and exit. Go into COM setup, progressive setup, and remember, we selected the 50K version of Power Strike. Let's go back to our PDF and look up the denominations. So the 50,000 is in jackpot category LL. So it's going to be 50,000 times max bet, which is 150 credits, times 1, which is the denomination. It's a penny machine. If you did a nickel, you would times that by 5. So 50,000 times 150. So 50,000 times 150 equals $75,000. That's the top prize. The denomination is 1, so I didn't times it by 1. It would have given me the same amount. But if you did a nickel times 5, the top prize would be $375,000. But since we're doing penny denomination, we're going to multiply it by 150. 75,000 will be our top prize. So we're going to create a new progressive, select Power Strike 50K 88, and 1 cent denom. Hit save. Create a new controller by hitting add, select none, touch internal, hit set, hit save, and go into configuration. Power Strike has 5 jackpot categories. So under the levels, we're going to turn on 5 of them. Okay? Jackpot level 1, we already figured that out, was $75,000. Hit enter. Now let's figure out number 2. $1,000 times 150. Doing it this way in case you're not a math whiz. So the second jackpot would be $1,500. Jackpot 3 is 100 times max bet times denomination. So that will be $150. Jackpot number 4 or 3 on the sheet, 50 times max bet times denomination, $75. And then the last one's 15. Okay, set your percentages however you like. Do different amounts so they all don't increment the same, because that does look kind of weird. And these numbers don't really matter. You don't have to do it. You can put this one 1.5 up there, or however you want to do it. Hit save. Hit previous. Hit save. Exit. Go into the config file. Select your controller, which is the internal. Hit set. You will see all 5 of them automatically populated. and hit Save All. Hit Exit, hit Save All again, Exit, and return to game. And if everything is good, it should load right up. And there it is. That's how you configure Power Strike.